Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so normally very tricky to come immediately after lunch, but thank God for the rains. It could have improved or dampened the spirit somewhat. Allow me to start with a story. I hope you find it funny. So in 2021, I was actually working in Rift Valley region as a manager at Safaricom. So that time we didn't have a lot of network connectivity in a place called Baringo, the remote areas of Baringo. There's normally a relationship between network connectivity and security, or you'd call it insecurity. So one day I happened to be talking to one of the MCAs from that region. He was like a quick adopter of technology. We were busy rolling out our technologies then. The sites in Baringo only had 2G. So this is how the conversation, he tried to call me. I was in a meeting. I sent him kindly, call me back later or send me a text. So guess what? He sent me a text. And then he said, this is what the text said in actual sense. He said, we need G3. And underline the word G3. We need G3 in Churo, it was Kapleting and Kaisongor. Yeah, knowing the security issues that were going on around the country that time, I just expected, that time we used to call them special branch. I just expected special branch to come and pick me up from the office to explain where I'm going where I'm getting these G3 rifles to send to banditry prone regions. But that's a long time ago. Now we are in the era of 5G. And I am glad to get this first opportunity to speak to you. I know my senior in the industry, Engineer Obam, will be speaking a bit later. But I just want to show the journey that we have taken at Safaricom in terms of 5G. Okay. I think that was too fast. Oh, good. We all remember the era of 2G. I think in those particular years, I was still in campus. Maybe that is betraying my age. When we had edge technology being used, the first time I ever connected a computer to internet in campus, we actually had what we call a campus LAN. But there was no internet connection. The first time I ever connected my computer to internet was thanks to the evolution now from GSM to Edge, where we had fantastic routers. That time we were calling them, I think Bamanet was the 3G one. So there was one that was slotting into your PC. But basically the evolution from 2G, when we started handling data at that time, in Edge, we're doing 256 kbps. Isn't that amazing? And that connection used to work for me. Yeah, it used to work for me. So I remember a lot of people in campus, I am sure some of you could have been like me. You had a shortcut to Internet Explorer and yet you didn't have internet. So what was the shortcut for? Yeah. So fast forward 3G. In Safaricom, I think we started adopting 3G in the year 2008. And I have a very funny story about 3G adoption in Safaricom. When we thought our market was ready, because we are usually insights driven, we approached one of the vendors to sell us 3 equipment. And do you know what they told us? They told us for that particular year, that was in the year 2007, 2008, 3G equipment sales to Africa was not in their roadmap. Believe it or not, that's what somebody said. And that's the time we opened the door for the second vendor in our network ever. And the rest is history. I'm not, of course, going to mention who are the 2 vendors. So we basically moved our speeds from 7.2 Mbps to 42. I think it was a great achievement when we achieved 43.2 Mbps via a technology that we called dual carrier. That means basically we just converge a low band carrier and a high band carrier, so that we give you two carriers to your phone, which was really fantastic. With 3G came huge demand for data, and our customers just kept on complaining about the speed. They were just saying, I wish this thing was a little bit faster. We didn't have, of course, the opportunity and the privilege we have now of widespread coverage. So the next thing that we did is now go to 4G. 4G deployment in Safaricom, early tests started in about the year 2008. And believe it or not, we chose to test it in Nakuru. Our data belt in Nairobi was actually in Langat. So anybody here from LA, you really promoted our business that time. We did our first trials for 4G in from LA, well done engineer. So we did our first trials on 4G in Nakuru. And 4G was instant success because of the mere way it could just handle high data throughputs. Of course, by the time we were getting to 4G, we now had a sizable fiber network. Therefore, we could give you a much improved experience in terms of latency. In the year 2000, and let me make sure I get this right. In the year 2015, 2016, in the run-up to the 2017 elections, we made a decision as a business to kind of overlap all our sites. That time, I think we must have been having 5,500 sites. Make sure, with the exception of the few security sites, far-flung remote areas where the backhole was not sorted, to have a project called 4G everywhere. So right now, every base station that you'll probably latch on in Safaricom will have 4G. And then 5G. This is why we are here today. I'm glad to tell you that after our lab test and field test in 2019, 5G was commercially launched, I believe, if I'm not wrong, in the year 2020 in Safaricom, just as we were getting out of COVID. And it's amazing what 5G has been able to deliver for us right now. In terms of throughputs, in terms of fiber, fixed wireless access to customers, I think it's a fact that where we are right now, we might not be able to reach every customer that demands of reliable broadband with a fixed cable. But with the promise of 5G technology, its spectral efficiency, right now the use case that we are primarily using in Kenya is the enhanced mobile broadband, very high data transmission rates that we are now into the future. And this opens an opportunity for several use cases that we could be discussing in the future. So something that I need to let you know, looking at the kind of terminals in the room, I am sure you guys have 5G enabled phones. One of the things that we've been able to do is to democratize the knowledge that used to be held by a few in terms of the major equipment vendors, to make sure this technology can be rolled out by our own tech skills and our own people locally. So even just outside here where we were taking tea in the morning, Safaricom has a mobile base station. That mobile base station has all technologies all the way to 5G, and that particular rollout has been done by our local engineers. I think that's something to be proud of, because at some point, you remember the story, guys were telling us Africa was not even in the roadmap to get 3G, and now we are getting 5G and rolling out ourselves. So here I just wanted to focus on the four key areas where 5G is making a game changer. So in terms of capacity and throughputs and speed, with the current optimization in Safaricom network, and I invite all of you to test it, we've been able to achieve at user throughputs of just slightly under a quarter of a Gbps, that is at your device. But when this deployment is done for a standalone user for specialized case with some spectral dedication, you can actually go up to 10 Gbps. In terms of connected items, the projection is that we hit 50 billion connected items in the next few years, and the cost of this connectivity will be low, given the spectral efficiency you're getting from 5G and the ability to interface these technologies over the air connection. Latency, this is something that even you can experience on your phone and on your device, the ultra low latency that this gives. Nowadays, I can, after browsing a bit on 5G, you can hardly fall. If you fell back to 3G, the experience that we have is that most customers abandon the data session thanks to what 5G gives you. And then in terms of reliability, with the over-the-air interface and the way that you've designed our base stations, with the general overlap, we tend to offer even a better reliability index on 5G as compared to fiber. You can imagine fiber, there's a dedicated connection coming to your house, somebody doing plumbing, trenching, or a road extension. Once they damage your fiber, on average, I get like between 2 to 4 hours to restore that particular fault. But I never have a situation where I lose my 5G sites, even the neighboring sites, for that duration. Okay, so in terms of the practical aspects, how we've gone through our 5G rollout, we generally tend to look at least 3 major steps. So where to do the rollout. I'm quite impressed with the current device uptake in the Kenyan market. The latest statistics suggest just within our network alone, and that's not even speaking about the competitors, we could have about 750K devices. When I look at the latest CA statistics, this number could be upward of 1 million. So we generally tend to look for where the devices are and where the customers are demanding very high throughputs. We'll be using 5G predominantly nowadays to try and offload the congested layers, especially 4G. We also look at if it is a fixed wireless access, because of the ability to give you this basically a fixed connection over the air. We look for areas where maybe fiberization might be a challenge. Think of a scenario where you have standalone villas, units, a bit far from the CBD, where you have lower density. And then enterprises has been really pushing our agenda in terms of fixed wireless access, and with 5G we are able to give them fiber-like speeds but over the air. Because we are also leveraging on our existing infrastructure, I know there's some talk in the market that one day we will have very many towers because of 5G. Luckily right now, because of the frequency that we are still deploying in Safaricom and the particular use case, we are still able to cover you with our existing towers because of we are using either 3.5 or 2.6 gigahertz here. So 5G does actually come with the challenge of power. On average, about 42% increase in power consumption for every base station, and a few changes that we've had to do on the base station in terms of tower strengthening. The 5G antennas tend to come heavier because they are fully encased with the radio module, which is something in our industry we call active antenna. And then for the baseband, typically most operators, when they start rolling out, you typically study your roadmap. So thank God we adopted the 5G ready hardware well before we had 5G in our network. So we would find the changes within the base station baseband to be not so much. And in terms of the core, so right now the network that we fully deployed in Kenya, we still rely a lot on the LTE network, 4G. So we call it non-standalone because the backhaul of the uplink actually is through 5G. But we are able to guarantee you a very good uplink through the 4G signal. And then majority of the users, I would say 95% of your use cases, even if you're on your phone, you tend to typically download as opposed to upload. But with the growth in data consumption and the demand for more uploads, recently, I think this happened last year. I hope a few of you are on TikTok. I am on TikTok, but that's not surprising because I'm a Gen Z. Yeah, I am on TikTok, so you'll notice that within our spaces, especially Kenya, I was told Kenya is among, is it the best? I think Kenya is in terms of usage of TikTok, it's actually number one in, I believe, the globe even. So we have a lot of uploads that are now happening thanks to our digital creators. So with that evolution, you would expect that one day we'll have to evolve our core to a standalone core. So as I wrap up, I wanted to just show the kind of use cases that we have now adopted within this space. I think the latest, allow me to start from the bottom one, is the mixed reality use case. This is something that we just did last year. So in cooperation with the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of ICT, and one of the largest broadcaster in China called CCTV, we were able to live stream the annual wildebeest migration in the Mara to about how many Chinese do we have? About a billion Chinese, because this is the most watched TV in China. I thought that was great, because how many people can we accommodate at the Mara? In actual sense, even that time, getting a room for my technicians during that migration was impossible. But if we can take the wildebeest migration from our wonderful heritage, that is Masai Mara, to 1.2 billion Chinese, isn't that something that we should be using technology for? Yeah, that builds interest in our country. The other one that we widely adopted, again, I think that is bottom left for you, is a fixed wireless access, and this is by just the mere admission that not everybody will be covered by fiber. There's practical cases where fiber will get to, I saw some statistics, about 9.5 million households in Kenya are connected to power. So there's a very practical expectation that one day those 9.5 million people connected to power will also be connected to fiber. But what happens to the other millions of households that will still be outside the power coverage? So this solution will cover us in terms of FWA, and it is being very highly developed. There's education use cases that we personally tried with the gift of 5G. I've had people lecturing students from Vodafone UK, that is in London, to students in Kakuma, and they are able to take a real life lesson out of that and do exams out of that. So very exciting use cases, if you ask me. Okay, so just the learnings that we picked up to now in terms of our deployment, I should say that Safaricom now, we are fully covered the 47 counties in terms of 5G rollout, beg your pardon. We have basically a hotspot all across, and I just mentioned just outside there we have a 5G base station. So the energy demand is something that we have to deal with, and in my other role within energy, I'm actively looking at this space. But with the abundance of sunshine in this republic, I am sure that is something that we will overcome with time. Issues like clocking, those are issues that we are currently dealing with. So what I would like to mention is in terms of, and I saw somebody from CA here, I think in terms of spectrum, we've gotten very good support. From the time we started our trials, we got a trial spectrum to now in commercialization, we actually have two bands, the 2.6 and the 3.5. This really does matter a lot to operators. For us to be in the position that we are in within this country, it's because of the support that we get in spectrum, so that we can try out these new technologies in good time and adopt as soon as the rest of the world is adopting. The other issues that is now upcoming is in terms of affordability. And look, we've said in our vision and our mission that we want to democratize the data conversation. We want to make sure every Kenyan has an opportunity to enjoy high bandwidth, high data speeds in our network. So devices is a bit of a challenge right now in terms of affordability. And we have ways that we are looking at in terms of, we even started local manufacturing a year ago. I think that is going very well for the 5G terminals and 4G terminals. And we are even looking at getting entry devices in the fixed wireless access range, something that is under, maybe I will say in terms of Kenya shillings, under 5,000. If you are able to put a device under 5,000 with the same advantages as the Cat 7 devices that we have out there, we feel that is a number that Kenyans will be willing to part with to enjoy the network. And in terms of infrastructure, I think this is a big talking point in our country. With the experience that we've had with 5G, we've had now to kind of, can I call, overhaul our backbone. Thank God our network was already fiberized. About 70 to 72% of Safaricom network is already on fiber. But think about this: if you're going to give a single user, like I finally got last week a speed that was 264 Mbps on my terminal. I was not the only person on that cell. You can imagine how much bandwidth has now to be provided from the base station all the way to the backhaul. So provision of a high capacity fiber transmission, and there we have maybe the equipment, not so much of a challenge, but in terms of providing the fiber routes and the diversity. And then the next thing, I think we will be going into Safaricom. As Safaricom, we have already tested with a few players, especially in the manufacturing and the logistics firm, is to just be able to split our 4G, because frankly speaking, we have a lot of spectrum now to be able to split our 5G networks into separate virtual networks where we can actually lease out that capacity to be used by those specific firms. So I believe if we are able to overcome all these challenges, then we should be able to deliver to this country a very wonderful experience in terms of broadband, whether you are accessing it on the phone or getting it wirelessly in your house as your fixed wired access. Thank you very much. Back to you, Kevin.